Welcome back, YouTube. It's time for another part of the Survivorman challenge, Survivor challenge, whatever we want to call it. The challenge where we get no money and a chainsaw and we just make it work. So we got a lot done on the last one. We got ourselves a seeder. Planter. We got ourselves a harvester. We got our 2 greenhouses. We've got our plow. We've got everything set up. We've got our field all set up behind me. And you'll also notice the forest is gone. It's all gone. There's no more of it. All the trees that were over there by those rocks, gone. If our tile does have any more trees left on it, that's news to me. But it was an unfortunate reality that we did not get nearly as much money as I had originally anticipated. I had really hoped to be able to go for, like, less of the more annoying crops. Go into some, like, wheat or soybean or something like that. Unfortunately, that's just not in the cards. So instead, what we've got going on is root vegetables. Now, the planting of the root vegetables, that's fine. We'd have basically the same experience we're going to have now with any of the crops. The big issue we're going to have with this is the planter doesn't carry that many seeds for one, but that's okay, because it actually gets decent distance. The big problem is that harvester. You'll notice it's got that crate there. Yeah, that's its capacity, is that crate. So it spits out the crate, you buy a new crate, I think it's 120 bucks per crate, and you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat, and that's not even the worst part. You then gotta pick up all those crates. So that's gonna be a bad time. So first thing I need to figure out is what the heck we're planting. We did turn off seasons, because the other reality would be just fast forwarding. Alright, so carrots seem to be the most valuable. And we look on here, they kind of fluctuate. Is there any of these that are like more equal? No. Looks like carrots have the highest price they get to in general, but otherwise they're mostly similar to each other. I was curious, like, if there's one that the extremes weren't as extreme, but that's fine. So that's kind of important that we have that. Alright, is there anything exciting on sale? I mean, yes, but not in our budget. Alright, so we want to go ahead and get carrots down. And so it begins. We will end up probably having a lot of fast forwarding when it comes to just this part, but in the meantime, that is what it is. And as very tempting as it is for me to just hit the button to let the AI driver take over and charge me for it, with how incredibly small the size of our harvesting and our seeding is on this, the unfortunate reality is, if I have the AI take over, it's a very real possibility we will actually lose money, because we're only sitting at around, it looks like 20 to 30% fertilized because we plowed a field that was grass without harvesting the grass. But unfortunately, it's also full of weeds, so that penalized some of the fertilizing we were supposed to get. The good news, though, is the carrots really don't use much of the way of seeds. So he just did, like, a full pass in our field, and he used barely 3%. But yeah, so what's going to end up happening is we get these down. Oh yeah, circling back, we did disable seasons. That was something we had gone back and forth on a lot. Unfortunately, the video that I posed the question about whether or not I should disable seasons, that's going up tomorrow. So I would still like to know people's answer, and maybe what ends up happening is people are like, nah, we'd really like you to have seasons on. That ends up being the way we'll go. We could just basically wait till this gets harvested and then go forward with seasons. So we'll just have, like, we'll have like one mulligan kind of season go by. Because the reason why I went and ultimately went with that, where we went and did seasons, is otherwise that's not where we go do this. Brain, I need you to work with me on this one, if you don't mind. Oh, right, because it won't be there because I turned off seasons. But basically, you'll have your seasons. I don't think it's, like, till March or April that you actually would plant the root crop. So all it would have been is just me fast-forwarding, like, 5-6 months. And then after 5-6 months, turn around and be like, okay, you know, now I've got an extra 6,000 bucks from the greenhouse. Okay, now we're just doing the root vegetables. So I don't feel like it really changes the challenge much. There's some mild benefits, like I could go out of my way to try to plan when these crops get harvested to when they would be, like, ideal or whatever. I'm not gonna go through that level of effort, mostly because I don't have the patience. But yeah. So, in the meantime, I think we're gonna have seasons turned off. Just for the practicality of, you know, I don't know, it feels weird to me to have a video that, like, we're gonna constantly be like, oh, hey, we planted this. See you in 4 months. Again and again. I do that on stream because just the nature of stream. There's the human interaction kind of thing. But on here, you know, I create the video, and then you can respond. And then maybe I can respond to you back in the comments, or I can respond to you back in the next video, depending on what is more appropriate, or both. Alright, we just need to top off our seeder, planter, whatever this thing's called. We did get a lot of the field done, probably somewhere not quite 3/4 of the field done, but a pretty good chunk of it, all in one load. And you'll notice when I'm loading this, it's not actually putting that much in the way of seeds in here. It's really just a tiny bit. Just, 16 liters. So I really did overkill the amount of seeds I bought. But that's a perfectly fine problem to have in the game. Your seeds last forever. You never have to like worry about, oh, did the seeds get wet and ruined, or were they out in the sun and got, dried out or whatever and damaged. Just, you could huck them in a box, leave them there, it's fine. We can just go right back to it without any real issues. So yeah, we'll definitely get the entire rest of this field on this load, considering one load was 3/4 of the field. Anyways, we'll just go back to the fast forwarding, because watching this in real time, probably not the most exciting, considering looking at the way this is going to shape up, we're probably talking about from the moment I started seeding to the moment I finish was between 45 minutes and an hour of real life time, in case anyone's curious. Oh, right. We are on our final, looks like 2 passes before the entire field is done. This took incredibly long time. Real life wise, this took somewhere in the ballpark of an hour or so of just the zigzag back and forth. And unfortunately, right now where we're at in the game, I can't afford to hire employees to do this. Our margins are going to be terrible because the fertilizer in the soil is only going to be around 30%. The soil has lots of weeds in it, so while we did plow grass without cutting it, so normally you get a 50% fertility bonus as if you fertilize the ground. Instead, we're getting like a 30-ish% based on the number of weeds in any given area. So that's still not bad, but it does mean, since we are on the hardest difficulty, economically speaking, the workers' costs are much higher. I'm only getting a yield of like 130-ish%, where you'd want to really aim for that 200%. You know, your 2 passes of fertilizer, you know, lime it and or roll it or whatever to, you know, get as close to that 200 as you can without bothering to go over it. Unfortunately, we're not going to get any of that. We're going to just smile, nod, and take our 130%. Now, the downside is this does mean I've effectively committed to whatever god-awfully amount of boxes of carrots this is going to be that I'm going to have to haul little by little with a forklift onto a trailer and bring it up. So that's going to be rough. That's going to be probably not even fast-forwarding a lot of cuts because I don't genuinely even want to think about what I've just signed up for labor-wise on this field, but it is what we got to do. The other rough thing is doing this entire field. So the thing I have in the back here, I believe, has a 6-meter width. No, 3-meter width. 3-meter width. We'll double check that, but it has a 3-meter width. As you can imagine, if that took me a full real-life hour at a 3-meter width, and we were to drop in here and do some comparisons on how long this will take me to actually go through and harvest, without counting the fact that I gotta drop off a box, buy a new box, go through that process, which will delay us a little bit more. And I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna dump all these seed boxes on the pallet. I didn't remember how ridiculously efficient the carrots and all that were for seed consumption, which is nice, but also has the downside of all this. Alright, but if we're to do a quick comparison, so we got our giant field here, and we were to compare our tools real fast, we can go to our vegetable technology. So the seeding, do not actually sell that. The seeding is 3 meters wide. This is 0.8. So if that took us a full hour just to plant this field, this is going to take us more than 3 hours because it's less than 1 meter. So as you can imagine, that is not going to be the fastest. Before we go and head back in and all that kind of stuff, let's quickly run up here, gas up, repair up. We did go through half a gas tank, so by my estimates, I will actually need to stop harvesting in the middle of our harvest in-game tomorrow, or not tomorrow, when they're done, because I will run out of gas otherwise. So I just want to quantify, just, when I say these things are laborious, these things are laborious. I would recommend, if you are a new player to the game, unless you're looking at a real small field, don't start by messing with the carrots, parsnip, or whatnot. They are cool plants to do. If you have lots of money and you can get like the bigger harvesters and all that, totally different animal. They can be just fine like any other crop. But while they are the cheapest to get into, there is a consequence. Just be aware. But we are doing a challenge run, and I gotta accept what I can do. Big thing, make sure you always repair your equipment between times. Right now it's not that big a deal because my maintenance isn't too bad, but as the equipment gets more and more hours on it, you will start to have the equipment get more and more expensive to repair. You have to do it more often. So like that was just 131. Yeah, so that's like 145 bucks-ish. Exact 145 bucks actually. So that's not a big deal. But once you get to like, it's something like 50 hours run, the rate you have to repair your tractors will get, well, any of your equipment will get 6 times as fast. So with a tractor like this, I won't get that bad. At maximum price for repairs, it's still not terrible. But it will eventually get to the point I will have to repair it pretty much daily just to have it manageable. But every piece of equipment you have, when it needs to get repairs, it gets a more and more and more severe penalty as time goes on for not being in repair. So a tractor in a bad state of repair, you take a very severe horsepower penalty and max speed penalty. The seeder, for example, if that's in a bad shape of repair, we effectively waste seeds. You don't get as much distance covered for the seed you put into it. I guess I can actually take the seeder to the other side of the field now, since I'm not going to be using it for anything. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with those seeds. I think what's gonna ultimately happen with those seeds, I'm gonna have to take that thing, untach the straps, and then use the forklift extension to just shove them off the side of it or something. Or deliberately roll it to dump them all out. But yeah, so we'll need to get all those off the trailer before harvest time, because I'll need to load up the trailer. Anyways, with all that said, it has been a very productive day. Even though it's the kind of productive day where I know I'm creating a lot more work for myself in the near future. That is what it is. The hope being, I believe the carrots are reasonably lucrative, if I remember correctly. And if they are, that should actually work out alright for us. Because it does mean I will make, you know, hopefully a decent amount of money. I'm going to go ahead and remove the seeds. Move the seeds too. You know, we'll make a decent amount of money. And with any luck, we'll be able to either potentially divest from doing the carrots, take the cost, as it were, you know, for the equipment we bought into the carrots, sell that, and then switch into something that's not quite so bad, or we'll be able to turn around and get rid of the harvester we have for one of the not as awful harvesters. And if you're wondering why I didn't just immediately buy the larger harvester and that kind of thing, it's just kind of the unfortunate thing that if I would have done that, there is a good chance I wouldn't have had what I need to deal with a lot of stuff on the other side. So I'm gonna need to get the forklift in. I'm gonna try and dump these seeds out. My forklift end is all the way back. Is it really? Oh yeah, because we set that to sell. That's fine. We can do this the more reckless way. I'm just gonna drive the tractor. I'm gonna shove them all off. Not working nearly as we wanted. If we use the rear tires, we might get that to work. Yeah, so I have the forklift pickup thing, which I am going to need down here. Don't do that, please. Alright, so new plan. We're just going to get the forklift thing. Now, what I might try doing is, I think I'm going to literally just try and tip over the trailer. I think I'm going to take this, we're going to put it on a trailer, and we're just going to lift the whole thing up and try and dump it on its side. Because then it shouldn't be very hard for me to get the trailer back up. Versus trying to take this all off elegantly probably won't happen easily. Yeah, make sure you're all off. Stay off. You're not welcome here anymore. Okay. So one of them's still on there, but it's off enough that if I drive away. So that's much easier than if I had tried to take them off properly. You know, certainly we can make the argument, well, that's just a mess. In real life, you have spilled seeds or done damage, and you right. But the reality is, this is a video game and it doesn't matter. And that was going to be a huge pain. So, what I'm going to do here is drop that, get this back over here. Actually, we're not going to take this back over here. I'm just going to park right here in front of here, because what's going to end up happening is we're going to be wrapping this one up because my field's done. And like I said, if we go over here, actually, I would say 50% fertilized. But yeah, so you see it's hovering around 24, 34, like it's in this area. So it's actually giving me a yield bonus of 50%, which is a little surprising that it'd be that high. But, you know, with the lime, we're going to take a penalty, all that. It's still going to be sitting somewhere in the ballpark of 130% yield, which isn't terrible, but certainly not the best. So it has been a very productive day in game today. So the good news is we do have all of our carrots down. That's been productive. It did take us quite a while to get that knocked out. We are going to need to harvest it in a couple in-game days when the carrots are ready for harvest. Since the seasons are off, I can't just look at the calendar and be like, ah, it's going to be August or whatever. It'll be, I think, 4 in-game days. Now, the catch with this is this does mean, basically, I'm going to see you back when it's grown, because we really don't have anything else productive we could do in the meantime. I'll just be checking to see if there's anything on sale in the shop and topping off the water in the greenhouses. So, otherwise, I'll see you when we have carrots. Thank you again for watching. I do hope to see you in the next one. And don't forget, you won't know about it unless you like and subscribe. Alright, later.